Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode of On the DELO. This is going to be my last episode for the year. I think we had a pretty good year of podcast. Do plan on doing more next year. And when I mean more, I think a lot more. I'm really getting into this. I'm really enjoying it. Excuse the nasal. 'Tis the season. I've had a sneezing fit today. Don't know what that's about, but maybe it's because I'm at work and it's dusty. Who knows? So today I wanted to just leave the end of the year and hope everybody had a great holiday season and all that stuff, and hope you have a little bit of time to just kind of listen to me mouth off today on some thoughts that I've been having, random thoughts, and how short and how precious and how amazing life is. I hope you guys are all having just an amazing time with your families, if that's what you're doing, or just some alone time or some me time or some personal, let's just say, development time in that sense. And who am I? No guru, I'll tell you that. I'm just some little kid that had a lemonade stand one day and decided to sell traced pictures of Star Wars characters, which I'm sure was copywritten and illegal to sell for 50 cents a picture. But, you know, some friends and family did buy those, and to sell Kmart. Anybody remember Kmart? Yes, Kmart. Kmart lemonade. And it was so funny because, you know, back when I'm a kid and I'm on the street and I'm selling all this stuff, I would get money, actual physical money. No charge cards or none of that stuff back then, no swiping. But I would get physical money from people, and, you know, parents and parents would give, you know, kids on our block money. And this was a time and age in Georgia. I lived in Georgia as a youngling. And this was a time and age when parents would, you know, give their kids money, and you could sit there in your driveway with a little table, a little thing of country time lemonade. You know, you bought the big bucket with the powder in it, and you take the powder and you put it in the mixing bowl, and you get a big old thing of sugar. This is back when, you know, sugar was good for you. And you'd sell these cups for 25, 50 cents. And then I decided to take it a step further, as I said earlier, and just create these traced pictures of like R2-D2 and C-3PO and all that. And I think I made like $11 my first lemonade stand. I have a diary of all this, believe it or not, as I'm going through old relics and memories. My wife just shakes her head at me going, why do you have all this shit? And this is why, so I can podcast about it, because I don't remember it, but when I go through the old relics and I see it, then it conjures up the memory that I now have. So it's pretty cool to kind of look back on all that. But when I say I made $11, that's a falsivity. And falsivity is a word that I have made up when something is not true. It's a falsivity. So please, if you want to utilize that word, it is not copywritten, because I don't think I can, but it's a pretty cool word. So excuse me again. So anyways, I go back into my parents' house and to learn that I didn't make shit, you know, pretty much as broke as I started, if not more broke, because not realizing that the tracing paper, maybe the rental of the table, the country time lemonade, the sugar, the cups, all that stuff, well, all that stuff costs money. Of course, I didn't pay for it. My parents did. But they did in a loving spirit of, you know, me having that entrepreneurial spirit, which, you know, which I still have, you know, today. And I'm very grateful for that. And so if anything, what I did earn wasn't necessarily monetary. It was more or less, you know, a lesson in life. And I think it's a lesson that, you know, in this day and age, we're still learning. We're still learning about our businesses and who we are and what we do and all that sort of stuff. So when I say identity crisis, you know, it's one of these things where I used to have an identity crisis, and people would ask me, hey, what do you do? And, you know, it would be one of these things where I was like ashamed to say, hi, I sell insurance. Wow, isn't that fucking cool? He sells insurance. Like, it's just a conversation stopper at that point. No, nobody, you're everybody's best friend friend if something, happens and there's a good outcome, and you are nobody's best friend if nothing happens because they have to pay for it, and if something happens and the outcome isn't quite the way that they were hoping. So it's really, really a tough industry in that sense, and I can see why a lot of people don't necessarily want to get into it. Now, is it lucrative? Is it profitable? Is it one of those things where you can do very well? Of course, and I have, and I will continue to do that, but it's not what I do, and it's not necessarily who I am. In the beginning, I always wanted to be a rock star, like a rock and roll star. I grew up listening to, everybody knows this by now if you've heard me before, but listening to Eddie Van Halen. I grew up and I worked in the music industry, and I did a lot of great stuff in the music industry, and I met a lot of my, we'll call them idols at the time, because, now as I get older, I'm realizing everybody is just one energy and human. And that's another podcast and something to get deeper into. But I was very, let's just say, fan stricken, in the sense, and I ended up working for all these men and women, and it was very cool, like no doubt. I was on Gwen Stefani's first tour. I mean, she was a kid like I was, the Goo Goo Dolls and just all this stuff. So I wanted to be a rock star. And of course I played guitar, not very well, wrote songs, not very good, but I did it. I did all that stuff, and I had fun with it. And for whatever reason, the trajectory of life took me to insurance sales. So again, what is it that you do, and how this can relate to you? I know there's a lot of people out there in the business world that are doing things that, it's not that they're not necessarily unhappy with what they do or who they are, the money they make or how they go about it. But sometimes there's an identity crisis in what it is that they're doing, because it gets so commoditized and so, combobulated. That's another word I think I made up. But, kind of put in the trunk of something of everything else. And so for me, it's been an essence of separating myself from everybody else. And how do I do that? And how do I go about that? And what does that look like? And so if you've followed me, or you know who I am, and you know my passion for life, and you can hear my voice right here, it's one of those things where I'm always putting shit out there. And it's always stuff that is true to who I am and how I perceive life in essence, because I know I could walk out, this building right now, get hit by a car, and boom, it's done. It's over. I'm okay with that. Not that I want that to happen. I'm not calling for that, but I'm just saying that I'm trying my best to live my fullest every day. And I also need those constant reminders to do that. So by doing that, I do a lot that I think for me is above and beyond what is notated in the industry. And part of that is, I formed a niche, hospitality niche in insurance. So again, am I really an insurance salesman, or am I a hospitality person? I would call myself a hospitality person because I'm very hospitable, and I love the personal touch. I love the friendships. I love the, the people that I surround myself with and who I'm with. Now, after doing this for 2 decades, I'm able to pick and choose the people that I surround myself with and how I do business and the way that I do business. And that is a gift, my friends. But it is a gift of longevity. It is a gift of hard work. It is a gift of persistence and passion and patience. Yes, patience. And that's one thing that I sure as hell never grew up with, and being a type A person, probably still don't have. So it's okay that life takes us in a different direction. It's okay that we have terms like, hey, I'm a banker, I'm a mortgage person, I'm an insurance salesperson. All that stuff is great. But again, it comes down to what is it that you really do? And what I really do is foster relationships. I get to know people. I spread, all that I can. I give all my energy, not taking away the energy that I need to be able to, help others. But I give enough to let people know that I care, because I do care. I give 100,000, cares all over. And a product is a product. A company per se, is a company in essence, but a person is a person. And that relationship, when you look in somebody's eyes and you give them, the word, and you follow up and you do all these things, that you just can't buy. That is just something that is just at the end of it all is amazing. And I know I appreciate that. I'm very loyal to people that, you would call quote unquote vendors, but they're also friends, and they're people that, you just find what works for you, and you keep going and you refer those to others, and you really, you create this community of great people, and then you start doing added benefit stuff for them as well. So, share who you are as a person and not a source, and I think going into 2023, as we're looking to, reaffirm or reestablish or recreate or create more of the person or the people, that are who we are, then it's one of these things where if you just are sincere, authentic, and you say, I'm really happy doing this shit. This is cool. I wake up with a fire, then it's all going to work out, and it always does. And I'm telling you, it's just the best when it does. So I hope this wasn't too energetic, too over the top. I appreciate y'all listening. You guys are, men and women are great. Thank you so much. More stuff from the DELO to come, more passion, more putting stuff out there. And please share this podcast, share it with others. I'm going to have some great guests on. I'm so excited to do this, to have conversations, share these conversations with people while you're sitting, at work or you're driving in your car, whatever it is. If you get a chance, 5-star it, anything you can do, help that momentum, because I do like a little kudos as well, as the next person. I'm just human, and I just want to know that, that you're out there, and know that I am here when you need me, how you need me, and rock and roll. Peace out, and podcast sponsored by DELO on the DELO. And I got new crazy DELO shirts if anybody's interested. Have a great one, and take care. Happy New Year.